This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL-TV in association with MTK Global at the headquarters this morning of Mr. Frank Warren. Frank, I know we spoke a couple of days ago, but a little bit hurried because the press conference was just about to begin, so back again here today.
We can't go on meeting like this.
I know. Frank, how's everything?
All good.
In life in general?
Life in general is excellent, no complaints. Looking forward to we've got some great fights coming up. Looking forward to, first of all, Russia, Anthony YARDE, Kovalev. Big opportunity for our man, a mandatory defence of Kovalev's title, and I fancy him big time to pull off what people may feel is going to be a shock.
This was a fight that was talked about for obviously a long time, and there's always doubts that people have, will the fight go on? And I know from your perspective there was a little bit of, until it was kind of signed and done, there was a little bit of things going on, the whole Canelo situation come into it, but the fight is on, it's happening in 2 weeks.
Yeah, if he doesn't fight, he'll get stripped. We've signed up for it, and everything's hopefully is going to plan now. He's trained very hard, it's been postponed, pushed back up twice I think, but he's very focused. Anthony's a very determined person, and he really feels it's going to be his moment, and I think it can be.
I think one of the things that we spoke about before, obviously we've spoken about Anthony YARDE's career pretty much since he turned pro, and I know you've had a lot of criticism about, and Anthony as well, and Tundi as well, about opponents and why is he fighting this guy and why is he fighting that guy, and then suddenly we go from that to fighting someone like Sergey Kovalev, and people are like, why are you putting him with Kovalev? And in that kind of situation, you can't win.
Well, you can't win, but the fact of the matter is the opponents that he fought for the stage of his career were good quality opponents for him. People, as I said, he only had a limited amount of fights as an amateur, and he fought guys who were undefeated, never been stopped, and he stopped all these blokes. He's done extremely well, and I think it's a lot of that is inspired by rivals, and I get that. We all understand what goes on in the business, but when you analyse it and look at it properly, he's done extremely well. Got himself into the #1 spot, and tried to sidestep it and tried to swerve it. He's now taken the fight, and the fight's on, and that's where we're at. And even if he got beat, and I don't think he will do, but even if he got beat, it's experience for him. It's good experience for him at this stage of the game. It's very good experience for him. But I just feel whoever he catches, if he catches them right, they'll go. It's all about now him boxing when he's out there, not just looking for the big punches, but boxing and imposing himself in the other guy's backyard. I mean, this is not like we're going to the States. This is not like we're bringing him over here. I mean, we're going into, I can't even pronounce the name of I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of the city we're going to, but it's far eastern Russia, and he's got it all to do. This is where Kovalev comes from. He's a big star there, so nobody could ever criticise Anthony YARDE for his balls. Nobody.
I think probably the main, and this is not a criticism because we know that you've tried to make fights for YARDE with domestic opponents, but I suppose fans have always just wanted to see kind of in that light heavyweight mix all our British fighters fighting one another. Yeah,
and I get that, and of course that's what you want to do, but the one that comes to mind all the time is Buatsi. But what's he had? Actually, now he's had about how many fights?
I don't know.
8 fights or whatever.
Yeah, maybe between 8 and 10 fights.
That man's 18 fights now, so it's and he's passed at this stage of his career. He's passed the British title. Great fight down the road to make, no doubt about it. Josh Buatsi's I think he's an extremely good talent, and it's a fight certainly I'm sure all the fans like myself, I'm a fan. I'd like to see that down the road, but if we can do it for a world title fight, how great is that going to be?
Any issues, kind of fight aside, about having to go to Russia?
Well, I prefer not to go there, but we're not in that position. When you're the mandatory challenger, you go to purse bids. All you've got to play with is from a purse bid is around 20 to 25%, depending where the fight takes place, at the purse bid, and that was there lies the problem. So it is what it is, And at the end of the day, all he keeps saying, Anthony, I don't care where it is. I want the fight. It's not about, it's not about when I go to the States, I want it in the UK. all he keeps saying, all he said all through this is, I want the fight. I mean, when I met with him, we discussed it, him and Tundi, and they got a guy who works with them, Nick. We sat down and we discussed the fight, and all he was focused on is fighting Kovalev. He really feels he's got his number.
Live on BT Sport on the
Prime
24th
time.
of August. It's such an interesting fight for many reasons, and we hope that Yard can really hold it, because he will make an absolute name for himself.
Wouldn't it be
there.
great for British boxing? It'd be great for British boxing. Great for him, but great for British boxing.
Absolutely. Now, today you're announcing Josh Warrington's next defence of his IBF crown. Talk to me about the opponent. It's on the 12th, I believe, of October.
Yeah,
and
he's fighting a French guy called Sofiane Toucal.
Yeah.
And
easy for you to pronounce.
I hope I pronounced it correctly. May have changed if I did. And he's the highest available contender.
So he's ranked 5th in the IBF.
Yeah, but they don't rank for some. They got no rankings for number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
The next guy in Stephen Stevenson.
Yes.
Shakur
Stevenson.
Shakur Stevenson. He's been mandated now to fight for the vacant WBO title because Valdez has gone up a weight, and then he's the next guy in. So we've gone for the next highest available contender. He's never been stopped. Got a lot of experience, and it'd be a really good fight and a tough fight for him. Josh has had 3 off the bounce, 3 good quality opponents in Selby, Carl Frampton, and also Kid Galahad. So he's not shirked anything. And again, I think he's got a guy here who's going to come to fight. We tried to make the Valdez fight, but Valdez has gone up, as I mentioned, in weight. And Santa Cruz doesn't want to come in. We made him quite a big offer to bring him over here, and they made us a pretty crappy offer for us to go there. I mean, it was like, it was ridiculous. So we're going to just keep him busy, and we're going to force these fights and make these fights happen. In the meantime, I want to get Josh out. So he's out there. We've got a really strong undercard out on it. We've got 4 other title fights. Got Zelfa Barrett on there, Lyndon After, Troy Williamson, and Michael I've got to pronounce his name.
Rambaleseta.
That's the man. Yeah, so Rambaleseta. He's fighting.
Ramabalesa,
yeah.
Ramabalesa.
Yeah, anyway.
No, Michael, yeah.
So he's
South
on there.
African,
Apologies, Michael, but you're on the card. That's the main thing.
You're on the card.
So we're looking forward to that. So we've got a good, strong card and some really good youngsters on there. And as and it's prime time. It's about delivering to BT subscribers, boxing prime time, as I keep mentioning, and getting the exposure for the guys and building them up. And as always, we're providing, as I say, a real strong undercard.
I mean, like I said, judging on the back of Josh Warrington's previous 3 fights, I don't think you've clearly tried to make the fights with like the Valdez's and Santa Cruz's, but I think anyone can moan about I'm not saying Josh Warrington have an easy fight, because this clearly won't be an easier fight, an easy fight, shall we say, but cut him a little bit slack because of the back-to-back 3 fights he's had.
I think it's a good fight. He's fighting the highest available guy in the IBF. That's all you can do. To all intents and purposes, he's the number 2. Yeah. Because the only
1 and 2 are not rated. Yeah.
Not and this guy would be the number 2 because he's number 2 because Stevenson's, as I say, fighting for the other title. So that's where we are, and that's where we're going. Josh has got he's got to win the fight. He's got to win it well. He's got to look good doing it. He did what he had to do in his last fight, which was a pain in the backside. We had that mandatory, but he's got rid of that, and it's onwards and upwards. And I want him to get this one under his belt and hopefully come through it, and then we can continue trying to make a big fight for him.
Was the fight offered to Scott Quigg?
Sorry, we did offer the fight to Scott Quigg, and he's not available. He's coming off an injury, but it's a game 1 down the road that we'd like to do. We did offer that fight to him, but he's not available.
So that would be a great fight as well, Warrington and Quigg.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice domestic fight, and everyone. The thing is, the public know him, so it would be a good domestic bust-up. So we'll revisit that.
You announced, obviously, as well as your Royal Albert Hall show at the end of September, you also announced a show for the 14th of September, which is a really, really good card at York Hall, headlined by Sonny Edwards, but the Zach Chelly, Cody Davis, and also Brad Foster and Lucian Reed fights on that are really good kind of 50-50 fights.
It's a cracking. I think it's one of the best York Hall cards that we've done for many, many years. I mean, they're, as you say, cracking fights, good young fighters, getting some exposure. It's all about our policy and what we've agreed with BT, that we will be doing a lot more of these shows so that we do bring to the attention of the public tomorrow's stars. Because sometimes when you've got 4 title fights on a card or 3 title fights on a card, those kids on the undercards are not getting the exposure. So we worked on this, and between us have come up with delivering a number of shows over the forthcoming future in the smaller venues as well. So I'm pleased with that.
Now, I know this hasn't been announced yet, but am I right to think that the 14th of September would be that's a show from York Hall, and then kind of leading into a potential night at Las Vegas for Mr. Tyson Fury?
Well, when they make the announcement, whenever, because we all have to be on the same page,
Yes.
making the announcement. You know, Tyson's date will be announced, and if it falls on that date, then that'll be what it is. If it doesn't, because it's been moved around the date quite a few times now, but let's hope that we get the date finalised, and I'd like to hopefully let it get out in the next. Well, I thought it was going to get out in the next couple of days already. So, you know, everybody's got to be on the same page, and we're announcing it. But I'm quite sure that's going to be announced fairly soon.
When it comes, obviously, there's a Otto Wallin is being strongly suggested as the opponent. Again, hasn't been confirmed yet, but that's the one that's been suggested. When kind of you're all debating about or discussing about Fury's opponent, who's ultimately got the say of who he fights? Is it Tyson, or is it MTK? Is it
No, it's Tyson.
Top Rank, or
Tyson?
Tyson?
You know, he, at the end of the day, it's his decision who he wants to fight. You know, and you can only fight who's available at the end of the day. So you've got to find someone who's available, and that is where we're at. So collectively, we all look and see who's around and what it's going to be. The objective here, as I said all along, was for him to build his profile in the States. So that's what's happening. Last fight, from that point of view, from that perspective, was a great. It was a great accomplishment. That's what happened there. He did very well out there and looked good doing it. Got this one, and then fingers crossed, we get into the fight with Deontay early next year, providing Deontay comes through against Ortiz, and then we don't get a Ruiz situation, any banana skins.
Like you said, anything can happen in boxing. We found that out this year,
Yeah.
especially that what is it, the best laid plans. So
Can fall apart. Exactly, yeah.
But do you expect kind of Tyson Fury to fight, obviously in September, Wilder to have his fight with Ortiz, and then you don't expect any of them to fight in between fighting each other again?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, everyone wants, want to get the fight on. Tyson wants to get it on. I know that Deontay wants to get it on, and all his connections. But Deontay, remember, signed a deal also with Showtime where he was going to do 2 fights with them before the fight took place. So you can't have Tyson sitting around on his backside waiting for Deontay to finish his obligations with his Showtime deal. He's got to fight Ortiz. That looks like it's going to go on in November. So what's Tyson supposed to do? Sit around wait until February or March, whatever it's going to be? So you've got to keep him busy, and that's what's happened.
There's no chance of that fight happening in the UK, is there?
No. It's an American fight.
No.
Prime time America.
I think kind of Tyson Fury's immediate future is kind of ruled out from the UK anyway.
Well,
on this ESPN deal.
That's how it is. His immediate future is and was as we said when we announced the deal. That's where he was going to be based for a few fights, and that's how it's turning out to be. In the meantime, we also got to focus on what we're doing over here, and that's building the next generation of heavyweights to come through. So by the time all these guys between them find out who's the best, I think it's Tyson, then the next crop are ready to be in there, hopefully in mandatory positions, to be stepping up to the plate and fighting.
But that was for me what you're kind of obviously building heavily on now, that the likes of Yard and Dubois to be kind of the next big pay-per-view stars.
Well, to be the next stars, yeah, pay-per-view stars. The next things. I mean, we worked very hard on them from the beginning, and there's a few other guys. I mean, Josh Warrington gets in the right fight, and he's done a pay-per-view already against Carl Frampton. It's a shame what happened to Carl this week. We're banging up his hand.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. Yeah,
real. I feel for him for that, poor sod. But that's probably knocking back a bit now till I shouldn't think he'll fight till probably November, or around November time. But
I've never heard of a situation like
Yeah,
that in my life. I mean, we know about the guy that he was meant to fight that slips in the shower.
Yeah.
We can all slip in the shower, but when you're in a hotel where
bizarre,
an
but it
ornament
happened,
falls on you, and it's absolutely
it is what
crazy.
it is. I mean, you've seen the photos of his hand, so it is what it is. So he's out. So you know, but he wouldn't have been fighting Valdez either. Valdez has gone up in weight, so it's all everything's it's all up in the air at the moment. So I hope Cole gets himself back on track, and I'm sure he will do. And then hopefully, maybe him and Josh will get it on again next year.
Is that a possibility to happen? Yeah.
Why not?
How many fights do you think Carl Frampton's got left in him?
I think he's got some fights left in him. I mean, it's what it was a shame he wasn't fighting this weekend, because you'd have seen for yourself what he's got in the tank. He's not a washed-up fighter.
No, absolutely not.
He's a class act, and he's a bright guy, and he's sensible to know whether he should be fighting or not. I mean, I had that meeting with him after the fight, and he said, I didn't rush him. We met a little while after, and he said, I want to carry on. He considered it and thought about it. And as I say, he's a very intelligent guy, and he's got a good boxing brain, and he knows and feels that he's still got something left in him. If he said he was going to retire, then so be it.
And how could you knock his career? I mean,
well, you could.
Unbelievable
good luck
career
to him.
he's
God
had.
bless him. He's made some good money, and if he did decide to do that, I'd support him 100%. It's been a pleasure for me working with him. I just wish I'd worked with him earlier.
So you've announced those shows over the last couple of days, but I'm assuming you're, like I said, still working on more shows for October especially as well.
Got another one. We'll do another one in October. We got putting some stuff together for November. We've got Jack Catterall just been mandated. He's been in the #1 position, mandatory challenge.
What's the situation with that? Are they in negotiations over that fight with Ramirez?
We're about to start negotiations with Top Rank, and very quickly we'll get a deal done, or we'll go to purse bids. He's also, I think, been ordered to defend his WBC title, so it'd be interesting to see what happens.
But we're assuming kind of if it goes to purse bids, but that fight will take place in the US, isn't it?
You would think there's a strong possibility of that.
I know briefly we did talk about this the other day, but obviously it was big news to hear that yourself and Billy Joe have parted ways, and you've had such a long-standing relationship, and it's worked well. You've won him or got him to the point of 2 world titles at 2 different weights, and he's had arguably his best career performance in Canada against Lemieux, but you had him literally from a child, shall we say, from when he won the when he fought in the Olympics in Beijing.
It's been, I like Bill, and we've worked together. We've had some ups and downs, where there's been times where things haven't gone the way I'd like to have gone, and it's hampered in what I've been able to do with him. People say to me, I was mentioning the other day, I was thinking about it, people say about pulling out of, letting fighters know, or pulling a fighter out if he's not ready to fight and so forth. I did that with him. He was going to get stripped by the WBO, and his weight was bad on the weight. We didn't say him get in a sauna, get it off and all that. We postponed the fight and stuck it on in a leisure centre up in Scotland a few years ago. So
I was there, yeah.
So we've done, all those things, been with him and worked hard and kept him going, and obviously the problems he had against vacating his title against Andrade after that, and a few problems outside the ring. It was getting the momentum back, and also, I was talking to Golden Boy. They wanted to do a joint promotional deal with us, but I sat down and we thought about it, and I thought it was. I'm happy the way it's turned out. It's bittersweet using Bill's expression in the press release, but it was it was time, I think, for both of us to focus on other things.
Did you feel as if that you'd taken Billy Joe to as far as you could have taken him, Frank?
No, not at all. I mean, look, boxing, you've got to have a bit of patience sometimes, and especially you have fighters who have patience when things are going well. It will pay off eventually. When things are not going well, when you're losing, when you're having to vacate titles, when you're getting tested and things like that, and you have various other problems outside the ring, it makes it difficult for me to work, to do what I've got to do. But despite that, we delivered, the opportunities which are negotiated twice for the fights with Golovkin, signed their contract, sent them, they never sent them back for whatever reason. And we've had a couple of other things go on behind the scenes, which I don't want to get into. But, Canelo didn't want to fight him. He didn't want to fight him after that fight. Now, Canelo, after we've done what we've done, suddenly Canelo is not got a title anymore. And that happened just, a couple of days after we put our press release out. So, who knows, he might get an opportunity there. That could happen. Canelo at the moment is in a little bit of no man's land. So we'll see what occurs. But whatever occurs, it's not going to make any difference to where I'm at now, because that's what once it's done, it's done. We've done it amicably. It was we shook hands. And if I see him, I can look him in the eye. He can look me in the eye. There's no like snidey around the houses stuff. It was done correctly. Or I could have said, no, we're not going to do it. But I made my mind up, and that's where we got to at the end.
Was it a thing, or was it discussed about whatever he done after leaving you, or you guys amicably split? Was that a factor of where he would go after? Was that of any concern or interest to you where he was?
There's only a few places you can go, aren't there? As a fighter, he's going to go where he can make some money. Where he can, that's what he's going to do. And why should he do that? He's a free agent. Once we've done our deal, he goes and does whatever he's going to do. That's the end of it. I've got no problem with that. That's why we parted company. We could have carried on. We could have carried on. He's got a mandatory coming up, fighting another Canadian. I don't know what's going to happen with that, how that's going to be dealt with. Maybe it'll be a sidestep. Who knows what's going to go on? But the bottom line is, these are all happening, and I wanted the big fights as well, and I think with a bit of patience we'd have got there. But it is what it is, and as I say, we shook hands. I'm very happy, and I'll be the most delighted person if he gets the big fight and wins it, which he's capable of doing it. There'll be no more delighted than me, because I've said from day one he's capable of doing it. If he stops all the stupid nonsense and focusing on what he can do, then he can do it. But, as for delivering big fights, I mean, we delivered the biggest fight of last year with Tyson Fury. We put that fight together and delivered it for him against Deontay Wilder. So, we've done that. You think about Liam Smith fought Canelo, we delivered it. So, it's not bad. Things happen for a reason. And at the end of the day, you just move on. We've got a lot of shows on. We're doing more shows. We're going to be doing more shows on BT this year than we've done, and that for me is great. We're in a very, very good position with our fighters. I think we've got the best exciting fighters in the country on our books. Best next generation fighters coming through. I'm not saying this country. I think we've probably got one of the best young stables in the world. So. There we go. And when you think about it, Bill, he didn't fight for over a year. So it was a shame.
From a personal point of view, Frank, aside from I'm assuming that you'd rather him not be going to somewhere like Matchroom. From a personal point of view.
From a personal point of view, I can't dictate where he wants to go. That's his choice, what he does. And if he goes there, he goes there. And there's only a limited amount of options where he can go. The weight division he's in, if I was him, I would want to be going to fight on a DAZN.
Which makes sense for him, because all the middleweights are over there.
If you're going to do that, and he's got to be, and it's also, I want him to stay focused and behave and not do any more stupid things like he's done. If he does that, he's got a great opportunity of doing things. But who knows what's going to happen? That's his choice. It's nothing to do with me. As I said, whatever he does, good luck to him. God bless him, and I hope he does the business.
Yeah.
And who knows? We may even work together again in the future.
You can't ever rule anything out.
We've not. I never fell out with Ricky Hatton. I never fell out with Nassim Hamid. I never fell out with any of those guys. I never had rows with any of them. It's always people in between when things like that happen. But with Bill, there's been no rows. There's been no arguments. It's been a grown-up conversation.
But I mean, there's been obviously fighters that you've parted ways from in the past, where obviously this hasn't been the same kind of amicable situation as as this was Billy Joe.
Of course it is. You go and put your heart and soul in working with somebody sometimes, and you're working with them, and you get to a situation where they're doing like behind your back, they're having chats and all that, because that's what happens in this business, you know that, and it happens.
The grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah, like I always say to them, you know what makes that grass green? Bullshit. So that's what it could be. But having said all of that, it's, you know, every case is different. Every scenario is different. I know what we're good at doing. I know what we deliver, and we deliver our fight. We deliver our fighters good fights. We are very good on building their careers and taking them forward. And I've done that. I've not just started doing this. I've been doing it for a long, long time. And we're probably all the top names. I would say 99% of the top names are in boxing over my time in the fight game. But it's as I would build. There's been none of that stuff. None of that at all.
I want to talk about Daniel Dubois. Obviously, you announced his next fight against Ebenezer Tate.
Yeah.
What a name, Ebenezer.
Yeah.
Bit of a geezer.
He is. He's a bit of a geezer, old Scrooge.
19-0. Relatively unknown.
Yeah. He's 16 knockouts. He's obviously had more fights than Daniel had. It's Daniel's 13th fight. He's fighting this Saturday, and the Commonwealth Championship Committee, that title became available because Joe Joyce vacated. We put it forward, and they said, subject to him winning, we can make that fight. So it's another belt for Daniel if he wins. He's got to win. It's his 13th fight. It's his 7th belt he's fought for in that period. And he's a man on a mission. And I thought he looked good the other day. He's a bit more relaxed as well.
I'm assuming there's a backup plan just in case something goes wrong.
Of course, you have a backup plan, but I don't want a plan B. I'm looking at a plan A. And he's back at the Royal Albert Hall. We had a fight with another Ghanaian, if you remember last time. It was a quite exciting fight while it lasted with Latte. This guy's fancies it, and he's a big, like, he's about 6'3", 6'4", so he's a big fella. And you know, Daniel's just got to keep doing what he does. He's got to keep learning, got to keep him busy, and he is busy. He had a fantastic performance last time out in a very competitive fight with Nathan Gorman, and he showed me a lot more on that night. A lot more to his armoury, and I think he is the future of heavyweight boxing.
It's definitely like one of those, not breakthrough fights, but it was the performance kind of and the fight in general that
keeping his composure and everything he did. Yeah, he did extremely well. But as I've said about him, you know, he's you know, we're not after timers. I mean, he only had seven bouts as a senior heavyweight bouts. So we took we went and decided that's what we were going to go and do. And we'd done a great job outside the ring, and he's doing brilliantly in the ring. And you know, Martin Bowers is doing a fantastic job in training him. I think they've got a real good bond there and a good partnership, and it's looking good.
Does it matter he's not the most vocal of fighters?
No. George Foreman, you couldn't get a word out of him when he turned professional. George, you couldn't get a word out of him. You couldn't have got a word out of Sonny Liston. Nothing, like a grunt, and that was it. But they were like, there was an aura around them, and when they fought, you know, they did well. People wanted to see them fight. Everybody's different. And in George Foreman, when he came back, his second coming of George, it was like he was injected with a gramophone needle. You couldn't shut him up. He became Muhammad Ali on speed. But you got, you know, he's only a young man. He's only 21, and he's finding his feet. I thought the press conference in the week he was quite relaxed, and I thought he handled himself very well.
How long are you going for, Frank? How many years are you in this sport for left?
How many
years have you? No, you.
What now?
Right now.
As long as I like it. As long as I like doing what
Are you going to be like Aram, 87, dancing to Sweet Carolina in Belfast?
I don't know whether I'll be doing... Was he doing... I don't know.
I've got a video, Frank, so I'll show it to you after.
No, I don't know. I don't know what I'll be doing when I'm 87. Please God, I'm here. That's the main thing. If I'm here.
Yeah, of course.
And healthy, which is the main thing. Touch wood. But I don't know. As long as I enjoy doing it, I'll do it. And I do enjoy it, and I enjoy with the guys I'm working with. And I've got to the age now where if I'm not happy about what I'm doing, I ain't doing it. You know, if I'm not happy with how it's working out with someone, I'm going to walk away.
Is that specific to boxing or in life?
Well, in life in general. I mean, I've paid my dues. I haven't got to be worried if I don't like something, then I ain't going to do it. I mean, I'm not. I'm at that old cantankerous age where I can say, piss off. I'm not. That's not for me. I'll do what I want to do. I mean, I enjoy my life. I've got a really good family. We've got a very strong family. I've got great kids and grandkids, and I like my music. I mean, I'm always going to concerts all the time. In fact, I was out at Ronnie Scott's the other night, and we went out with George Benson. We went to see George Benson,
right.
which was brilliant. So I enjoy my music, enjoy going out, and I'll do what I want to do. I don't want to do. I'm not interested in. I don't have to do all that. Kissing arse stuff. Not that I was an arse kisser anyway, but I'm certainly not starting that at my age, and I'm certainly not going to do in boxing something I don't want to be doing, or working with someone I don't want to be working with. That is never going to happen.
But you never get up in the morning and just think, I can't be fucked with this anymore. My language.
Yeah, I mean, I have got up in the morning and thought that, and then I won't bother to go to work. Then the next day, if I've got the flavour, I'll do it. But I've got my sons work in the business. They're more than capable. They're not sort of up front, sticking their faces up front and all that. They do what they do, and they do it quite professionally. And I'm happy with them, so that it's in safe hands with them. And at the end of the day, as I say, from my perspective, I will, whilst I'll enjoy it. Whilst I enjoy it, I'll do it. If I don't enjoy it, it ain't going to happen. I won't be bothered with it at all.
What would you be doing if you say you were to retire today, for example? What would you actually be doing, Frank? Would you still kind of have an involvement loosely in boxing, or would you just come away from it altogether? No,
I think I would come away. I'd either, because I can't half do things.
Yeah.
If I was involved in someone's career, I'm involved with it, and I'll be giving my opinion, rightly or wrongly. I'd say this is what we should be doing, and this is who you should be fighting. I'm right on that. I mean, that's I'm very, very strong from that perspective. If I weren't doing it this time of year, summer holidays, I'd be spending time with my grandkids, which I'd be doing. But regarding, but I am doing it,
Yeah.
And and I've got some really good close friends. I've got friends of mine who've been my mates since I was at school, 13, 14, who are still my pals. We still meet up every 6 weeks. We go to football together now and then.
Yeah.
So I've got a good, from that sort of aspect, I've got I'm quite grounded with there. And when I meet up with my pals, there's no this one's that, this one's they all come from various backgrounds. A couple one of them went up with a cab driver. One's a bit of a scallywag.
It sounds like the Hatton Garland job, this does, Frank.
The Weezers, Diamond Weezers. No, they're all good blokes, and we all come from Islington. That's where we all come from. So we meet up, we have a bit of fun, and it's like you do when you're with your mates. Don't you? It's a bit of piss take and whatever, we have a bit of fun. But I've got a lot, I've got a lot of friends I've made and met through the sport. Some really good friends and people whose friendship I value. So you get that and you do that. And what I don't want bullshit around. I don't want bullshitters around me. I don't need it. I mean, I've got a great nose for them, and you sort of take it with a pinch of salt. But this business is a magnet for bullshit, and a magnet for people who know sod all about boxing. You couldn't do it in any other sport. You couldn't go. You couldn't become a football manager, or you couldn't become a tennis coach or tennis manager, or you couldn't do any of those things. In boxing, you can do it. Someone's dad can become the manager, but like Thierry Henry's dad couldn't become the manager of Arsenal because he was Thierry Henry's dad. But in boxing, it can happen.
Yeah, someone's son could be given an
opportunity.
And
Obviously they mean the best. They mean the best for their kids. And there have been dads who've done brilliantly for their sons. But there's also been dads who've really screwed their sons' careers up.
Frank, it's been suggested that this sport can kind of turn you bitter.
I'm not bitter.
Not you in general, just saying the sport can turn people bitter. I've heard that a few times. Is that true?
Well, I can only speak for myself. It hasn't turned me bitter. You know, it can disappoint you, but that's not being bitter. You know, if you're being bitter, then you should get out of it. I mean, who wants to be sitting there, you know, thinking about winding yourself up and thinking, what a arsehole this one is, what's that? You know, who wants to get off on that? I mean, I don't think about anyone. I do my press stuff. We do a bit of bullshitting between us and selling the shows, which is what we're doing. After that, I'm gone. I'm out thinking about and doing other things. If I was to sit and drive myself mad about that, I'd be out and out sad bastard. There was a thing about Mickey Duff. Someone said to Mickey Duff once, they said, why haven't you retired? He said, because I've still got to get even with a lot of people. Who wants to live a life like that?
You don't have that mentality though, Frank.
Listen, I don't like, I mean, it's not about getting it, I don't get it. I mean, I always will fight my corner because that's what you do, isn't it? It's what we're in, the sport we're in. It's a sport where you've got to be strong and you've got to fight your corner. But I'm trying to control my language here. But for me to think about I'm going to sit at home winding myself up over some mug making some comment or doing something, forget about it. You know, that is for what we're doing now. After that, do me a favour, I'm on with it. I've always focused on going forward. I'm never looking, and I want to be looking over my shoulder what happened yesterday. I'm looking for what's going to happen today and tomorrow. Yesterday's gone. You can't change yesterday. Whatever happened yesterday, it's done. Good, bad, indifferent, it's gone. If it's a good memory, it's a good memory. It's a bad memory, learn from it and forget about it. Move forward.
There's also an old kind of boxing theory that I've learnt over the years about you, Frank, is that a common thing people say is you can never rule Frank Warren out. Where's that come from?
I don't know. I've always been there. I've never moved. I mean, I've been doing this I've done more than any of them have done. I've worked with every single major TV company. I've launched their pay-per-views. I've launched their boxing on their channels. I've done all that. And there must be a reason for that. Because I think I'm quite good at what I do. And I know the sport. And I know my boxing. And I'm not just a promoter, I'm a manager. I'm probably as a manager managed more world champions, more champions than any other British manager ever. And guided their career. So that's what it is. And I've got enthusiasm. I'm not a lazy person. I've got bundles of energy. And I enjoy, as I say, what I'm doing. As long as I enjoy it, I'm going to be in there.
Would you regard yourself as a difficult person to work with for other people?
Well, most of my staff who work for me, the majority of them. I mean, I've had people work for me going back over. I've had people work for me for 30 odd years, 25 years. All these, long time. So that says something about how we are as a team. Difficult to work with, what you mean, because I won't do what they say?
No, I'm not saying that. It was just with other people in boxing, whether it be promoters, managers, whoever.
But promoters, you've got to remember, it's not about being difficult. The thing you've got with promoters is that you've got, what's happening in this country? You've got BT, you've got Sky, you've got a little bit on ITV, you've got Channel 4, is it?
Channel 5.
Channel 5. Every one of the people who are working with them, including myself, you've got to serve your broadcaster. You've got to deliver to them. You're not going to deliver to some other promoter. And when the business calls for it, you've got to make the fights happen. I can look at you and tell you on numerous occasions, if it's been in the interest of my fighter, or fighter that I'm involved with, I have let them go and fight on another promoter show. Prime example is Billy Joe Saunders going to fight Andrade. Recently. And lots of other fighters.
Must be not ideal for you in that situation because you want to keep your fighters on your platform.
Well, you do, but sometimes you've got to look at you look at the situation and scenario for, the earning, what the fighter's going to earn from it and how it's going to work, and also looking at having faith in the boxer that you're with. Can he beat him? Yeah, I think he can. So he beats him, and we're back on track. And we're back, and comes back with a great win. That happened, Aaron, but there's a lot of promoters who may sound difficult to work with. Don't do that with their fighters. Not at all. At all. You can't. Terrified. Absolutely terrified. because they haven't got faith in themselves or maybe in their fighter's ability. I don't know. But I think that from every promoter's perspective, you've got to do what's right for your fighter. But what you've got to do, you've got to do the best for boxing. I remember many years ago when there was a vote in Parliament to ban boxing. It went to Parliament.
Yeah.
And by one vote, they failed to get it through. If they'd have gone through, that was boxing. Like fox hunting's banned, boxing had been banned. That's in my lifetime that happened. So you've got to be careful what's going on here. And all this stuff that was going on a couple of weeks ago is not good for our game. It's not good for our sport. That needs to be investigated. Everybody concerned, it needs an independent investigation. Not the Boxing Board of Control conducting it. It needs sorting out. UKAD needs to be sorted out. It was a complete farce with Tyson and Hughie Fury, what was allowed to happen there and how that went on forever. They are not capable. They are not capable, UKAD. They are not doing what they should do. The Board of Control are not capable in doing what they're doing. It has certainly failed miserably in these two instances. YARDE, who the board don't recognise, and it's one of the reasons Billy Joe was still licensed when he fought Andrade, because they didn't recognise them, and also the substance that he was found in his system was allowed to be taken during competition right up till the eve of the fight. They test people. Everything's on their list is banned, and they test people regularly, but they don't have a disciplinary hearings. They report it to the promoter, and they report it to the relevant governing body, to what's happening. The Board of Control what they've done. For me, they have put this all in the hands of UKAD, who are not capable, as has been proven, not capable of doing what they should do. Put it in their hands rather than saying to UKAD, you test them. If you find that they've been taking PEDs or they failed their test, then we will deal with it, because we are the British Boxing Board of Control. That big C means control. Control the sport. Deal with it. Sit on it. Hear it. Don't delegate this out, because they are not capable. I don't know what happens in football. I don't know what happens in rugby, tennis, and whatever, athletics. But certainly, as far as boxing is concerned, UKAD are letting us down badly, and it needs to be changed. We need an independent inquiry. It needs to be sorted out, find out why this happened. The sport is suffering from it. It's suffering from it, and that's what my concern is with the sport. And it is a concern. All the promotional rivalries, they are what they are. You get that in all aspects of life. In businesses and airlines fighting each other, dirty tricks and all this stuff. You get it in every walk of life. But boxing's a unique sport where somebody's life is in danger, and the petty rivalries and all the promotional bullshit goes out the window when it comes to stuff like this. This is a threat to the boxer's health, and it's a threat to the sport.
Okay. We can end on something positive, Frank. Transfer window.
I'm shocked, actually. I mean, when they tell us they only had 40 million to buy players,
they've done all right for that.
Hats off, they've done that. But where's the defenders? We want defenders.
Yeah. Sad to see Koscielny leave.
Yeah, I didn't like the way he done it.
So I think the way it happened is...
obviously something was more to it behind the scenes, but all that taking off one shirt and the other, and especially he's been quite a good servant for Arsenal, and obviously he had quite a few injuries, and Arsenal stood by him. So I don't think he could have left it in a better way than he did. But I hope they're going to buy some. We need defenders. We need world-class defenders. At
least one centre back. They're also being linked with a loan move for Philippe Coutinho. I think that's probably unrealistic. We'll see. But a defender.
But they're all buying. I mean, Spurs have spent a lot of money on players. West Ham spent a few quid on players. All of them have spent money. So, but we should get goals. But as we see in that game in Baku, that second half, is the defence let us down badly. Did you watch the Barcelona game? It's quite.
Slightly encouraging signs.
It was, but still, a couple of the errors in defence which let us down. But I'm looking forward to it. It's a new season.
Sunday, Newcastle
Like
away.
I say, you've got to look forward,
Oh.
and hopefully they're gonna deliver.
Okay, Frank. Yeah, just boxing updates, a little bit of life, a little bit of an outlook. Do you know the biggest thing I've learnt, Frank, in my short 10-year career here?
Has it been 10 years you've been doing it?
10 years. There's a lot of snakes in this game, Frank. That's what I've learnt.
You learnt that.
Well, I've learnt that. I learnt that quite early, actually, Frank. A lot of
Well,
snakes.
I told you
in
this.
game.
You know.
A lot of two-faced people and a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
tell you what,
snakes.
the theme tune for boxing was written by the OJs. They smile in your face, and all the time they try to take your place, the backstabbers, and that's what it is with them. So you've got to we keep moving forward.
The quicker you find out, the better.
Yeah, well, I told you that.
Yeah. Frank Warren, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so obviously, I know stuff. It's relatively quiet August month, but obviously Yard Kovalev is next for you, and
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
it's massive.
I'm not looking forward to the trip. I'm looking
We're
forward.
trying to sort out to go now, but it's a bit it's a bit difficult, obviously with visas and stuff,
Yeah.
etc. But we're on it, so no problem. Frank, have a good day, and
Thank you, young man, and
we
you,
shall
and
speak
looking forward to the future.
very soon. Thank you
Good
very
stuff.
much, Frank
Cheers,
Warren.
mate.